It finally happened. After months of speculation and 2 years of inconsistent play, Jalen Green has finally been traded. Not in a blockbuster centered around him, not as the star attraction, but as a throw-in in the Kevin Durant trade. Let that sink in. A 23-year-old former number 2 overall pick. A guy who once looked like the face of Houston's rebuild. A player with elite athleticism, shot creation, and sky-high potential, now being quietly shipped off to Phoenix like an afterthought. That's how far his stock has fallen. Just 3 seasons ago, Jalen Green was the main event, a walking mixtape with superstar upside. But somewhere between the flashy dunks and empty stats, the league caught on, and the Rockets moved on. So today, we're asking the uncomfortable question, how bad is Jalen Green actually? Was he ever more than a highlight reel? And more importantly, can Phoenix salvage what's left of his potential? Or is this the final chapter of a cautionary tale? Jalen Green was supposed to be special. Not just good, special. Coming out of the G League Ignite in 2021, he was everything scouts dream about. 6'4" with a lightning-quick first step, elite vertical pop, and a smooth jumper. He wasn't just athletic, he was fluid. He moved like a star, scored like a star, felt like a star. Houston believed they had found the next face of the franchise, a walking highlight reel to fill the James Harden-sized hole in their identity, someone to build around, someone to believe in. And to be fair, the flashes were real. He averaged 17 points per game as a rookie, then jumped to over 22 in his second year. He had scoring explosions, poster dunks, and confidence for days. But something was always missing, because for all the buckets, the Rockets weren't winning. For all the flair, the decision-making was shaky. And for all the potential, the consistency and efficiency never caught up. By year 3, the numbers were hollow, 41% from the field, 33% from 3, below average true shooting. The defense, passive. The leadership, nowhere to be found. And then in Green's 3rd season came Thompson, a 6'7" freight train with court vision, defensive instincts, and a completely different wiring. While Jalen was still trying to figure out how to lead, was impacting games. He rebounded like a big, defended like a wing, passed like a point guard, and most importantly, he didn't need the ball to matter. Suddenly, Houston had options. They didn't need Jalen's streaky shot selection anymore. They didn't need the isolation possessions that stalled out, because brought something Jalen never had: two-way value. Ime Udoka started leaning on in key moments. He closed games. He played winning basketball. And Jalen, he got benched. Quietly, but consistently. By season's end, the shift was undeniable. Fred VanVleet was the leader. Thompson was the future. And Jalen Green was the odd man out. The promise was there. The flashes were real. But Houston moved on. And Jalen never gave him a reason to stay. Let's stop talking about potential and just look at the facts. Jalen Green has now played 4 full NBA seasons, played over 9,000 minutes, started over 200 games. He was given every opportunity to lead. So what did he do with it? A career field goal percentage of 42%, a 3-point clip stuck around 34%, one of the worst defensive ratings on the roster every single year, and a turnover rate you'd expect from a heliocentric star, not an inefficient 2-guard. And even in year 4, in a prove-it season, he averaged 21 points on 42% shooting and over 17 shots per game. Jalen Green was very one-dimensional and streaky. A guy like that could not be the franchise piece. And once Houston realized that, he always became the first name on the table when they were in the market for a star. And that's exactly what happened with him getting shipped off to Phoenix for KD. But let's talk about the KD trade. It sent shockwaves through the league. Houston is now a legit contender. They fit so well together. And now fans and media are saying that they finally got off of Jalen Green. It's crazy because 3 years ago, he would have been the headliner in any deal. Now, he was a salary match, a throw-in, a sweetener. That's how far he'd fallen. The Rockets didn't just trade him, they barely hesitated. They fought to keep Fred VanVleet, their 31-year-old floor general. They basically made Sengun and Amen untouchable, viewing them as the cornerstones of the future. They even blinked at the idea of moving Cam Whitmore or Reed Shepherd, but Jalen Green, they didn't even flinch. He was offered before the Suns asked, included before the ink dried, gone, without so much as a second thought. And that tells you everything, not just about where Houston stands, but how far the league's perception of Jalen Green has shifted. This wasn't a mutual parting of ways. This was a team moving on from a failed experiment, quietly, decisively, completely. And now in Phoenix, Jalen Green's not just trying to revive his career, he's trying to matter again. But here's the thing, it's not all on Jalen Green, because when he arrived in Houston, he didn't walk into a stable winning culture, he walked into pure chaos. His first 2 seasons were coached by Stephen Silas. A well-liked guy, sure, but not a culture setter, not a disciplinarian, and definitely not someone built to develop young stars in a post-Harden wasteland. There was no system, no defensive principles, no veteran presence to guide him, no accountability when he played out of control. It was a glorified open gym. Houston had a roster full of young, raw, ball-dominant players all trying to prove something. Kevin Porter Jr., Alperen Sengun, Josh Christopher, KJ Martin, and Jalen Green was thrown into the middle of it with the ultimate green light before he even knew where the basket was. He was asked to lead before he knew how to follow. He was given star usage without star guidance, and instead of being developed, he was enabled. For 2 straight years, the Rockets let bad habits form unchecked. Lazy defense, tunnel vision, no off-ball movement, wild shot selection. It was all part of the package, and no one stopped him because no one knew how to. Then came Ime Udoka in year 3, a real coach, a no-nonsense guy with a real system and real expectations. And suddenly, everything changed. Fred VanVleet came in and took control of the offense. Dillon Brooks brought edge and defensive accountability. Alperen Sengun became the offensive hub, and Amen Thompson brought that energy Houston had been missing. Udoka demanded discipline, efficiency, effort, and Jalen Green couldn't keep up. The leash tightened, the touches decreased, and for the first time in his career, Green wasn't being told, go be a star. He was being told, fit in or sit down, and he couldn't do it. He didn't evolve his shot selection, he didn't improve defensively, he didn't elevate his teammates. He got exposed, not just for what he was, but for what Houston had allowed him to become. So no, this downfall wasn't just Jalen Green being a bust. It was a perfect storm of bad timing, bad structure, and a player who never adjusted when the storm cleared. And let's be real for a second. If you look around the league, the 2021 draft class is thriving. Cade Cunningham looks like a superstar in the making. Evan Mobley is already an All-NBA player in DPOY. Scottie Barnes already won Rookie of the Year and still looks like the face of the Raptors. Franz Wagner is emerging as a young star as well next to Paolo in Orlando. He's smart, efficient, versatile, the kind of player every contender wants. Even Josh Giddey has made a resurgence in Chicago. Sengun, drafted by Houston at pick 16, leapfrogged Jalen as the team's true offensive engine. Post-up wizard, elite passer, still only 22. Even Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and Quentin Grimes, all taken way later, have carved out real winning roles on good teams. And Jalen Green, he was shipped off. No clear role, no guarantee to start, no identity beyond used to be athletic. His peers evolved, he plateaued, or worse, regressed. Now here's where it gets interesting, because Phoenix, that's a different animal. For the first time in Jalen Green's career, he's not being asked to be the face of anything. He's not the number 2 pick everyone's waiting on. He's not the centerpiece of a rebuild. He's not even a guaranteed starter. He's a project, and that might be the best thing that's ever happened to him. The Suns don't need Jalen Green to save him. They already have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant gone but not forgotten. What they do need is youth, energy, and someone who can eat bench minutes without tanking their offense or defense. That's where Jalen Green comes in. Under new head coach Charles Lee, the expectation is simple: play winning basketball for the first time in your life. That means defend your position with effort, move without the ball, hit open shots, don't force the issue, compete on every possession. Basically, be a pro. And for Green, this could be a blessing in disguise. Lower expectations, defined role, clean slate, veterans around him, although they all play his position, but that's not his problem. For once, he doesn't have to create something out of nothing. He can focus on doing the little things, the things that don't show up on mixtapes but do show up in wins. And with guys like Booker and Beal ahead of him in the pecking order, he won't see double teams. He won't face the pressure of carrying a franchise. He'll have more space, more structure, and way less noise. But here's the flip side. This is it. This is the final runway. Because if Jalen Green can't figure it out now, with talented teammates, a fresh coaching staff, and no pressure to be the man, then it might never happen. He's no longer judged on potential, he's judged on results. And if Phoenix, a team built to win now, can't trust him to help them do that, he won't just fade into the background, he'll fade out of the league. So how bad is Jalen Green actually? Bad enough to be casually tossed into a superstar trade as a salary filler, not a centerpiece. Bad enough to lose his starting job to Thompson, and at times get benched behind career backups. Bad enough that Houston, the team that once believed in him more than anyone, gave up before his rookie deal even expired. That's not just a red flag, that's a flashing warning sign. But here's the twist. Jalen Green is still only 23 years old. He's still a freak athlete, still has tight handles, still has shot creation instincts you can't teach. There are guys who figure it out at 26, 27. Green has time, but time isn't infinite. He's no longer the young gun with all the upside. He's now a project, a prove-it guy. He's no longer being judged on highlights, he's being judged on habits. No one's expecting 25 points per game. They're expecting competence, toughness, growth, the stuff that doesn't go viral. And maybe that's exactly what he needed, to get humbled, to get passed over, to look around and realize that he's no longer the future, he's fighting for a future. Jalen Green isn't a bust, not yet, but he's not far from it either. This is the tipping point, because if he can't make it work in Phoenix with veterans around him, lowered expectations, and a defined role, then it won't be about potential anymore. It'll be about what could have been. So the question is no longer how good can Jalen Green be, the question is how bad does he want it? And we're about to find out. But what do you think? Can Jalen Green still turn his career around in Phoenix, or was this trade the final chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you want more trade breakdowns like this, and don't forget to subscribe to Hoop Dungeon for deep dives on every star, bust, and everything in between. We'll catch you in the next one.